Hello, and welcome to the Fear Channel, a channel with regular broadcasts telling the most chilling of urban legends, ghost stories, and forays into the darkest corners of the human mind. Those faint of heart or prone to night terror should proceed at their own risk. Tonight's story is Medieval Revenants. The word revenant comes to us from the French word revenir, which means to return. Thus, revenants are the returned animated corpses of the recently deceased. In modern times, we usually speak of zombies when referring to the Walking Dead. However, tales of revenants from the medieval period aren't very much like zombies at all. Unlike zombies, revenants did not decay in the ground. While they sometimes changed appearance, more often than not, the revenant looked exactly as they did in life. Additionally, not just anyone could be brought back as a revenant. Only the bodies of those who were thought to have made bad choices in life were the ones to return. One of the earliest recorded instances of revenants was written in 1090 by the Abbot of Burton. Burton tells the tale of two men who died suddenly of a mysterious illness. The very same day in which they were interred, they appeared at evening, while the sun was still up, carrying on their shoulders the wooden coffins in which they had been buried. The whole following night, they walked through paths and fields of the village, at one point in the shape of men carrying wooden coffins on their shoulders, at another in the likeness of bears or dogs or other animals. They spoke to the other peasants, banging on the walls of their houses and shouting, "Move quickly, move, get going, come." While this early account doesn't show any serious animosity on the part of the revenants, it does display a certain degree of mischievousness. In the 11th century, Dominican Tomás de Cantampra wrote of an encounter where a spirit entered the body of a recently deceased in order to scare and attack a local priestess. Cantampra wrote an exact recount of their exchange. "Lie down, you wretch, for you have no real power against me," said the priestess, to which the corpse responded, "Truly, now I will have power against you, and I will revenge myself for the frequent injuries I have suffered at your hands." The priestess, being resourceful, grabbed a nearby staff with a cross attached and whacked the walking corpse in the head, sending it running away, never to be seen again. Walter Map, an Englishman writing in the 12th century, tells of a wicked man in Hereford who rose from the dead and wandered the streets of his village at night, calling out the names of those who would die of sickness within 3 days. The response by Bishop Gilbert Folio told the villagers to dig up the body, cut off the head with a spade, sprinkle it with holy water, and reinter it. Another encounter comes to us from the 1500s. A shoemaker from the city of Breslau committed suicide. The family attempted to cover up the dishonorable act and had him wrapped and buried, claiming he died from a stroke. However, shortly after the burial, rumors began of sightings of the man within the city limits. The reports of sightings became so numerous that the local authorities got involved. The family finally had to admit to the manner in which the man had died. At this point, it was about 8 months following the burial, and the man was exhumed, when it was discovered that the body was complete, untouched by decay. The limbs were attached and unstiffened, and the man actually was larger, like he had been putting on weight. It was deemed that the man had become a revenant and must be removed from the ground. For almost a month, the corpse was laid out in the open and guarded day and night to prevent it from wandering. When after this time, the body still hadn't decayed away, the city council ruled that the body would be dismembered, then burned on a pyre composed of 7 clofters of wood, the equivalent of 21 cubic meters. The remaining ashes were sacked up and thrown into the river, thus ending the revenant sightings. In 1746, Antoine-Augustin Calmet, a French Benedictine monk, wrote extensively on all sorts of monsters that supposedly arose during the medieval time period. and some of his writings covered the appearances of revenants. He wrote, "They see, it is said, men who have been dead for several months, come back to earth, talk, walk, infest villages. I'll use both men and beasts, suck the blood of their near relations, make them ill, and finally cause their death, so that people can only save themselves from their dangerous visits and their hauntings by exhuming them, impaling them, cutting off their heads, tearing out the heart, or burning them." With all these stories, the bodies of the recently deceased return to an animate state. They no longer contain the spirit of the people who formerly inhabited the body. The body also does not decay, but in some instances bloats itself with the blood of its victims. And it would seem the only way to stop a revenant is to dismember or burn the body. For more revenant encounters, see the video William of Newburgh's Histories.